Today, I'm going to do something that I've never done before, a solo episode inspired by Huberman. I want to talk about local SEO. It's often referred to as the local pack. I know it's so incredibly lucrative for law firms to rank in the local pack. But what does that mean, and what do you need for that, and how does it work? So let's get into it. If you guys Google car accident lawyer, you're going to see local service ads, you're going to see pay-per-click, and then you're going to see the local pack. Sometimes you'll get one organic result above it. Sometimes you won't. Typically, you see 3 firms in the local pack. Ideal world, you have a key term in your business name. And I always use the example of Smith Law. Instead of Smith Law Firm, we are seeing Smith Car Accident Lawyers, Smith Personal Injury Lawyers, or some variation of that. It's an advantage that you should take if you have an SEO strategy. Now let's talk about how to do this correctly. Number 1, you file a DBA or the equivalent in your state. You are doing business as this name. This is really important because if Google suspends your Google business profile, you need to show proof this is the name that you are doing business under. Number 2, you need to change the logo on your website. Number 3, you need to change the signage and the directory in your building or office. I get a lot of pushback on this because people don't want to spend the money on new signage, and signage can be expensive. If Google says, okay, prove to me that you're doing business as this name, they're going to want to see the signage, and they will actually do a Zoom call with you. This is very common, or they'll have you send a video using a QR code. So really important that before we change anything on the Google business profile, you have all your ducks in a row. One question that I get asked is, do I have to file cases with the DBA? And to my knowledge, you don't. The goal is when somebody searches car accident lawyer or truck accident lawyer or personal injury lawyer, divorce lawyer, criminal defense lawyer, you guys get the gist. You should show up in the local pack if you are within 1 mile of where they are. So a 1 mile radius is a total of 6.28 miles. Either someone is near you or they're not, because the proximity trumps everything. How do you measure that besides driving around and stopping every block? We use a tool called Local Falcon. What that does is it shows you a map and it plots circles on the map in different colors, and it gives you the number that you show up in the local pack. Now, anything past number 3 means you're not on the first page of Google. And the goal is to be top 3 within a 1 mile radius. There are some exceptions. New York City, you're really looking at a 0.5 mile radius because it's so densely populated. If you're in the suburbs and there's nothing around you, then you're actually going to have a broader reach. But the second component is what happens if, let's say, somebody has a loved one that was in a catastrophic accident in a different city and state. So now they're searching for Miami for a San Diego car accident lawyer. The local pack that it'll show me if I'm searching something significantly further away from me, and you don't have to take my word for it, you can do this yourself. They're going to be centrally located downtown. So when you're thinking about moving or thinking about opening up a location, this is something that you really should consider if you're going to have a digital strategy. We've tracked this. We have data for years now. This absolutely works, and this is really crucial. So what's really important is that the location looks legit. Is somebody else using that address in Google? And the answer should be no. You have your own suite. No one else is using it. You're not subleasing to anyone. This is really important. What I'm also seeing a lot is firms that have multiple practice areas. They do criminal defense and they do personal injury. So then they split them up into 2 different websites to provide the best user experience. But now they're sharing the same phone number and the same address and the same name. So Google all of a sudden is like, wait a minute, you have these 2 different websites and 2 different Google business profiles, but it's the same business. And that's confusing to Google. You need to have unique suite numbers for each of them. And if your landlord has to go through the necessary paperwork and get those registered. I was talking to a firm the other day. They have 1 suite number, but it has 2 entrances. So what they did is they went to their landlord and said, can I turn my suite into 2 suites? So really here it's about making sure that everything checks out and looks legit. And I like to use really, really absurd examples. If you were looking for, say, Walmart, and Walmart was sharing the same address as, say, something random like Target, and there was no merger, no partnership, no acquisitions, nothing, you would be confused, and Google would be confused as a user. Google would be like, wait, there's no way that both Target and Walmart or Walmart and Banana Republic are sharing an address. And I get that law firms do share spaces, and sometimes they even share a receptionist. But because so many firms back in the day gamed it so much and went and got Regis's and set up GBPs all over the state and were getting cases and people were showing up, this was pre-COVID, okay? There was no firm there. They started leaving negative reviews. Google said, you know what? I'm not even going to take the time to figure out if this is legit or not. If it doesn't look legit, I'm just not going to show it to my users and risk providing a negative experience. So you have to be really careful. And ideally, you're working with an SEO agency that can give you feedback on the addresses before you sign a lease. You really shouldn't be signing any leases, moving, doing any sort of expansion plans if you have a digital campaign without checking with your SEO agency and running these addresses through them. So you do want to open up multiple locations. Here's the catch. You got to be able to sustain getting reviews on all locations. Ideally, you look at your competitors in the nationwide search and your competitors near you, and you say, okay, what's the average number of reviews? And then the first goal is to hit that average. Sometimes that's not possible because sometimes you have firms with 800 reviews, firms that you believe the reviews aren't real, or firms that are really big volume firms. So then what I tell everyone is focus on breaking that 100 mark, and then let's really focus on a consistency. What Google really cares about isn't necessarily the blunt number of reviews. There isn't a magic number per se. There is a threshold, like 3 reviews isn't going to do it. 10 reviews is probably not going to do it. Pretty quickly, it becomes more about the consistency and having a cadence. And whether that cadence is once every 2 weeks or once a week or 2 reviews per week, smaller to mid cities, the most you can push it is 1 every 2 weeks. Ideally, especially in mid to major metros, you want to do 1 to 2 reviews per week. And what we have found works best is incentivizing your team. And the best incentive is $100 cash for every review your team member gets. Don't worry so much about getting negative reviews. It's good to have some negative reviews because if you have all positive reviews, nobody believes that they're real. It's just normal to have some negative reviews. And what really matters is how you respond to the review. You're not responding to the person that left it. I don't care if you think it was a competitor. You don't have a record of that client. What really matters is the person reading the review. How are you responding to them? How are you coming across when they read that review? That's really crucial. I can't stress that enough. I always say if a review really upsets you, really anything in life, take 24 hours to calm down. If you are working with an SEO agency, reach out to them for advice on that response. We always coordinate with our clients what the negative response should say and really, quite frankly, shouldn't say. I've seen some really poor responses. Anyways, I feel really strongly about this whole reviews thing because it can be done. And we've seen some firms that within weeks are tripling their call volume just from us fixing their local pack. What's really awesome about local SEO is that it typically works, if you work with an agency that knows what they're doing, much faster than organic SEO. So it's really the driver initially in generating cases for law firms while the organic SEO picks up. They do work together. You want to create that repetition on the first page. Ideal world, you're doing local service ads, pay-per-click, local SEO, organic SEO, and even, you're in the directories that rank on the first page. But local SEO is really special in that we can get results quicker. It's higher on the page. It creates a lot of trust because of the reviews. Anyways, I hope that this helps clarify some things and do's and don'ts when it comes to a local pack. If you found the story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to help others discover the show.